welcome to Paintabilities. Today I'm going to be sharing with you a very iconic oceanside scene. Take a look at this. This is a photograph that I found on Vecteezy, and I don't know where this is at, but it's got the rugged coastline. It's a sunset shot or a sunrise shot, depending on what coast it's on. And then we have the icon of the coast, which is the lighthouse. So a lot of people want to paint lighthouses, and you're challenged because of the shape, all right? And no matter what you do, maybe sometimes you've tried and you struggle to get the sides straight or the angle correct or whatever it might be. So I know I was one of those people. And so I created this stencil. This has been used, obviously, but if you want to get this stencil, it is available on my website, and there's a link in the video description below. But this stencil allows you to get just the shape of a basic lighthouse. And that can include the actual lightkeeper's house as well as the lighthouse itself. There are different sizes, different stories. So I've got a 1-story small, a 2-story small, and then 1- and 2-story large. So you've got 2 different shapes of lighthouses here too. You got just your basic straight, and then we have ones that have stripes going. A lot of times they will paint stripes going around. So I added a more narrow version with a catwalk at the top and some stripes. So you have some options here with this. So today I'm going to go ahead and create or start the creation. So today I'm going to start creating this landscape with you, sharing with you how to get the background in place. And then in part 2, we will be coming back and adding our lighthouse using the stencil to get the right shape, and then adding all the fun strokes and details to it to finish that off. So make sure you go back and come back and watch part 2 when that airs next week. Okay? So let's get started on our background. First thing I want to do is put out some colors. I'm using Plaid FolkArt multi-surface paints. These are acrylic paints. They're wonderful. They're nice, thick, creamy paints. And they really come in a nice set of colors. And you can blend them, and the coverage is wonderful, and they're self-sealing. So you can put them on a multitude of surfaces and they will seal, and you will have very good satisfaction with their adherence and long-lasting ability. Okay, so first I want to put out my colors, and then I'm going to be using this Donna Dewberry painter sponge to apply my background, just to get the colors in so that when we can work on the stroke work on top of that. Okay, so my sky colors, I'm going to be working with some medium blue. So I'll put enough of that out. And this is a 12 by 16 canvas that I am working on. And then I'm going to be putting out, for my sky, I'm going to be putting out some oranges. So I've got Canyon Sunset, which I thought is appropriately named for this painting. And then a little Daffodil Yellow. I'm going to put out a little bit of this Vivid Orange. There we go. Just for a brighter spot in the sky. And then for my rock formations, just the dark color is what we're putting in. Remember, you need to have dark to see light. So I'm going to be putting out some burnt umber for that, just to get that based in. And then we'll be adding some lighter colors on top of that, both in browns and greens, when we get to that portion of the painting. Okay, so I'm going to tap this out. I've got a foam plate for working with my sponge, okay, and then I will be on my silicone mat for the rest of the project. So I've got my fingers damp with water, wiped it across the base of the sponge, and now I'm going to pick up my sky color. So looking back at that photograph, you can see, oops, I want to turn this way. First of all, let's get our canvas oriented correctly. So looking back at this, you can see that this rule of thirds is being followed again. So we've got 2/3 of our canvas is going to be the sky, and our lighthouse is going to sit over here. And then the bottom third will be the rock. And there's just a little bit of ocean shown over here. So I'm going to be putting that in with my brush. Okay. So starting with the sky in the background, working our way forward, I'm going to pick up this medium blue on my sponge, get plenty of it, and we're just going to make circles with the sponge. Sponge is flat to the canvas, and you work fairly quickly, and then you can smooth it out once you get it on there. And remember, when you're on a wrap canvas, if you don't plan on framing it, you want to make sure you get the paint on the sides, okay? Picking up just a little more of this blue and going side to side now. All right, now I want to switch to some orange. Let me get this edge here. All right, so I'm going to wipe out as much of this blue as I can out of my sponge because I don't want brown. Blue and orange will make brown. Okay, so now I've got as much of that out of there as I can. I'm going to come get my Canyon Sunset. All right, and I'm going to orient my sponge down so that I can get the softening between the colors. So we're going to go this way. And again, work circles. And then side to side. I want to bring this right side up a little higher with the sunrise or sunset colors. All right, once I get those in there, and then I can turn my sponge back around and work the rest of it. Okay, so here, now I'm going to pick up my next lightest color, which is going to be this vivid orange, right? And I'm going to work that into my lower sky. See what a difference that makes. All right, and we're going to come up at a little bit of a slant here. Okay, and we're going to come in after and add some clouds and things, but we're not going to do that with the sponge. All right, now to finish up, I'm going to get some of this daffodil yellow. I obviously put out way too much paint for this. All right, and so right about here, it's not right in the middle, it's just left of center and on that horizon. So this is 1/3. So right about here, I'm going to just go side to side and get that little light in the sky from the sun. I've tipped forward on my sponge now, and just let that blend into that orange background, okay? And it's straight across, so make sure you're not making curves, okay? Wiping that off, I can come back to some Canyon Sunset here and bring some of that in there with the tip of my sponge on both sides. Just some darker light in the sky, might be clouds. Okay. All right, now wiping the sponge off yet again, I'm going to come and pick up my earth tones, my burnt umber, and we're going to get our platform, the top of this outcropping, coming from the right side. So I'm going to touch and push down right from here. And then when you get just about to the left of where that sun is going to be, it's going to kind of drop off and create that little ledge there. And we'll work on that profile of those rocks and stuff with a brush. Okay, so then coming in and getting more of my burnt umber. And I like that there's an orange tone in this because of what's on my canvas. So that is a little happy accident. Okay, so circles to work this into the grooves of the canvas, and then you can smooth it out if you want to. And don't forget your edges. I love doing just basic landscapes with you guys, just to show you that you know, in a world of craft painting, we can still have the option to do a nice landscape and work even with our craft paint colors to do that. So you don't have to be a elite watercolor artist. You don't have to be an oil painter. You can do this with our acrylic paints. You don't have to be a fine artist to enjoy yourself. So I'm just putting in some detail lines here where we've got a little bit of darker areas on the rock. And this is actually way over here, not right there. So I'm looking at my reference photo for that. And I'm kind of tapping in some darker color. And then this comes over here. And this might be unnecessary at this point, but you get that dark in there, then you don't have to try and put it in later. Okay? And then this comes down there. And then these all come this way. Okay. So I think we've got this all based in nicely with that sponge. I'm going to go ahead and fold that over and put it in my brush basin for cleaning later. And that was quick and easy. I like that. So now what I want to do is work on, I'm going to get the ocean put in here. And let's just set this aside because I may need these colors later. I'll just take a foam plate and put that on top. And set that up there for now. All right, so what I'm going to put out now is something called Indigo Night, which is a deeper blue, kind of a denim color, but I like it for water, especially in the distance when it's very kind of dark. We're going to have a little bit of our wave colors on there too, but this has got a nice tone to it. And I need a 3/4 inch flat with this, so I'm going to get that damp. Lay it on paper towel, and then I'm going to come pick this up. So you can see this is a really pretty blue tone to it. Almost like a teal with a blue. All right, so looking at my photo here, I'm going to come put in a chisel edge, just a horizon line right about there. Okay, so you just want to work on making that straight. And this is supposed to be behind our bluff here. So I'm just going to base this in. You got a little bit of orange under there, but that's okay. It will actually act in our favor a little bit as kind of reflection on the water from the setting sun. I'm going to go with this as a sunset, okay? Assuming it's kind of more of a west coast, maybe Pacific Northwest, I don't know. It could be Maine, which would mean it's a sunrise. Okay, so just getting that based in. All right, now, actually, let's come get this plate again. Because I want some of this medium blue. So I'm just going to pick that up on the corner of my 3/4 flat. And we're going to come across in this water. So I'm going to tip that a little bit so you don't have a glare. Okay, so medium blue across the water, a little light and dark, just sputtering with the chisel edge, okay? All right, and then we're just going to let that be for now because as I put more strokes in there, because I want to let that set and then we might wash over something to kind of push that back. So there we go. All right, now let's work on our sky and put in these clouds. So I'm going to get my 1/2 inch Scruffy. And I'm going to come back to this plate actually because I need that for my sky, and I'm going to put a little bit of white out. This is Wicker white. And I'm going to put a little bit of classic French gray out as well. So right there. Okay, so we also need floating medium. Just a little. We don't need much today. Okay, so I'm first going to take, this is a dry brush. Let's come up here so you can see. So this is a dry brush. I'm going to load it with some medium. And then I'm going to come and get some of this vivid orange on 1/2 and work that in. And that's really bright. All right, so now I'm going to get a little bit of this classic French gray on the other half and pounce and kind of bring those colors together, although maintaining the bottom half is mostly gray and the top half, or I should say the other way. Top half is orange and bottom half is gray. Okay, so just this little bit. All right, so we're going to come right over here. Let me tip this up again so you can see, or let's move it over a little bit. There we go. So right up here in this upper part of the sky, I'm going to put the orange down because what the orange is reflecting is the sun, which is below it. And so I'm going to come right in here and we're going to make swirls. I need a little more of that gray. All right. And just lightly kind of feather that off. These are not big clouds. All right, let me get just a tiny touch of white on my orange end. A little bit more than that. And tap that in to blend it. There we go. All right, so we're creating this kind of shadowy on the top, lit up on the bottom. Let's get a little more of that classic French gray on the back end of that. There we go. So you're getting this shadow up top, see that? Tapping that in there and then just letting it kind of fade off on the left side, okay? So moving to the right of that, let's come back and get some of this vivid orange and my gray and a little more medium because it's not moving as well as I thought it would. All right, and we're going to come right in here. I can favor one side or favor the other, make swirls as you go. So if I tip back to the gray, I'm going to get more gray. Tip to the orange, I'll get more orange. These are just soft little wispy clouds that are going to be kind of floating by on the other side of the lighthouse. Okay. A little bit of that white again. These are wispy on the edges, so you're not trying to create shapes. You're just kind of getting loose with this, scrubbing this color on here, okay? I'm going to drop down a little bit right in this area here, and we're going to put some more. But now the gray is thinner, so you have to kind of tilt your handle back to get the gray on the top and tilt your handle forward to get the light orange. I'm not happy with this one. Keep coming back to that. So let's get a little more white with our vivid orange. right in there. That's the one that's most prominent. And then get our gray and come through here and here. There we go. That's better. Okay, so got a little bit of a poof right here. Just with what's left on my can brush. I might actually even wipe some of that off and get some medium. And there we go. And that just loosens up what's on my brush. Okay, so there we have our fun little wispy clouds. Let me get just a little bit of gray. I'm going to come right in here. Need that canyon sunset and some gray together. There we go. And just add a little more of the canyon sunset on there. That's it. Just kind of tapping that in there. A little more here. Elongate that. And just on the edge, we're adding a few more out there. Ooh, I like that. That looks really good. Okay, so we're kind of done with that Scruffy. We'll come back to it later when we do the foreground of our rock ledge here, our bluff. Okay, now I want to get my 1/2-inch mop, okay, also dry, and I'm going to load that with medium. And then I'm going to come and get a little bit of white and a little bit of this daffodil yellow and work those together. And that's still too bright, so I'm going to get a little more white. It should be soft with the medium. Okay, and there's this kind of streaky clouds going this way. So just on the tip, and then now on the chisel edge, and I'm a little more medium. These should be very transparent going across here. Okay, there we go. And then right through here, there's a little bit of it straight and coming up through these clouds. So there's all kinds of different things going on in the sky here in this picture. Now I'm going to come and get some of this bright daffodil yellow on one corner of that brush. And right here, right about there, I'm going to kind of tap in. It's not an actual, I mean, it is the sun, but we're not going for exact round because we've got some clouds that are going to come in front of that. But I want to tap in that bright and then go right on top of what we put here before, just a little side to side. There we go. That's looking real pretty. Let me get some of those, just little bits of that gray and orange. And right in front of that yellow, we're going to go right across it. All right. Just barely, I mean, you could have used a flat brush for that too, but I just grabbed the brush I had in my hand. Just some barely wispy little, almost like purpley looking clouds out here. Okay, I'm done with that brush. All right, so to finish out today's lesson, I'm going to go ahead and show you how we apply the stencil. Okay, so I'm going to need a number 12 stencil brush, and we're going to just apply the shape of these structures so that later on we can fill them out. So I need some paper towel. just to tap off the brush, because when you stencil, you want to load a small amount of paint on the stencil brush and still tap off on a paper towel to get any excess off to prevent bleeding underneath. All right, so looking at my stencil and where this needs to be, remembering that you don't have to use the entire structure of the stencil itself, right? It's just meant for having some options. And so this looks like it would be the best one to fit. We're just not going to use the bottom part of it, okay? So let's move these over here so they're not in the way. And so all I have to do is just kind of eyeball, making sure that there's a it's straight on my painting, on my canvas, and then I'm just going to hold it with my fingers to keep it down. So I'm going to be using this classic French gray. I'm going to load my stencil brush with classic French gray. You don't need a lot of it to do this, okay? It's just, and you could use white even if you wanted to. And I'm going to tap off on paper towel, and then I'm going to come here and start applying my stencil. So you do clockwise and counterclockwise circular motions. You can lift up the stencil to see that everything's coming through. That's still pretty heavy, so I'm going to tap off some more. It's okay with this stencil if it's a little heavy on the application. If you were doing, you know, like words or something where you absolutely don't want it to overrun or bleed under, then you for sure want to do a better job of tapping off the color. Okay, so going all down the sides on this, just getting a little more paint, tapping that off. And so on this, I'm going to start, let's come up to the top here and apply the cap and the windows. This is all just for placement. So I'm not worried about the color either. I just want to get this put on here so I know where my shapes sit. And I have something to work with. And I didn't have to measure it all out and figure out angles and curves and all that stuff. Okay, so once you get that all on there and lift that off, now you've got a really nice placement of your lighthouse, and you're in a good shape to begin working on that. Now I do want to do the little house that sits in front of it, but it's facing the other way. So I flip the stencil over, and then I can work with this little house right here, and that's going to be perfect size. It's going to sit right there. So we'll place that right on top of the bluff, and it sits in front of the lighthouse itself by about that much. And I'm going to angle the front like that. Okay. So what I won't do is I won't stencil in the base of this because I want it to, it's up above me. I'm not going to see the base or the bottom of the house. All right, so we're going to come in here. Now the one in the picture has two chimneys. Am I worried about that being exactly the way that that looks? No. So I'm going to go with the chimney I have on here, but if you didn't want to, you don't have to. But I hope you will give this stencil a try and see how fast and easy it helps you get a lighthouse landscape created that you can work with. Okay, so now I have my house position, and it was just that fast and easy. Okay, so here's where we are as of today. Come back and join me next week, and we will complete this painting using our stencil outline for our lighthouse and adding in all of our rocks and foreground details. Thank you for joining me on Paintabilities today. See you next time. Bye-bye.